Hello everyone and Happy New Year. Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, this is a model railroad channel for BNSF and Canadian National, and we do a lot of DCC videos, and I've had a little bit of a hiatus if you've been following along off of YouTube, just for closing up my old house and buying the new house that we're in right now, and closing up the old layout and getting this layout going. So as you can see, we got a little bit of bench work put together. Now this room is obviously a lot different from what the last room was. It's about, I think 21 by 12 and a half, which is a little bit smaller than what I had before. But, we'll make it work. You also can see I've got some utilities to work around with here. We're going to be doing a HO scale layout just like we did last time. And, I got some bench work started here between the softener and water heater. Actually goes behind, got part of that done there behind the furnace and comes out the other side here. And you can get a little glance, there's a room back there. That's really a storage room, where that'll be some staging track as well as a helix that'll bring it up to the second level, and that's what these supports are for. I've also got a little bit of bench work on this side of the room started. I still have to connect the bench work on both sides of the room. Here along the back to this section here, as well as across the door that enters and leaves the room here. So I know, just taking a step back here, this probably doesn't look like a whole lot of much of anything. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go upstairs to my office, and we're going to talk a little bit about track plan, and just kind of give you guys a little bit of idea what it is I'm looking at, what I'm doing, and then we'll come on back down here and we'll kind of finish up this video. Okay, so we're up in the office, and I just want to take a few moments and talk about track plans, because I've learned a couple things from the last layout. Now this is Model Railroad Hobbyist, as you can see. They have a subscription service. This is one of the YouTube channels. And the reason why I'm showing this is just a good example of someone just, sketching out something. I think this is just a first pass. When I did my last layout, this is all I really did. I sketched it out. I actually did a couple of sketches, and although it's a great first pass, it was kind of my only pass to the last layout. And what I ended up with was I ended up making up a lot of it as I went along, and I did some really cool things that I really liked. I also ended up doing some things that I really didn't like. So I did a sketch for the layout downstairs, and I took it to the next spot, which is, let me close this up, something that you can do on the computer. So as far as looking at computer resources, I'm going to minimize this real quick. This is an example of Model Railroader magazine. There's all kinds of track plans on there if you're a subscriber. Model Railroader Video Plus, the sister channel, has a lot of good stuff on there as well. They actually take theirs, they do a lot of 3D modeling and rendering rather, as well as in some of the layout videos, you'll actually see them make a miniature of the layout using strip wood and balsa wood and stuff like that. Another thing that you can do is, this is a picture of my dad with a fish there. Atlas has a program. This is kind of a simple program. I'll bring it to the other screen here. What I mean by that is you can use Atlas Track. Of course, being an Atlas program, you can see I just put a rerailer there, and put another piece there. You can take a piece out, put in a curved piece, and maybe a different radius curve piece. And anyway, as you can see, you can do some different things there. I'll add a switch to it. This is probably good, again, if you're doing Atlas Track and you're doing maybe a 4x8 or, a small shelf layout, something small. It's kind of limited what you can do, but it's also very easy to use at the same time. Another program, this one actually was, nope, don't need to save, was brought to my attention by another YouTuber called BA Rail Systems. So he's got a really great channel. This is AnyRail, and I've got a couple things started here. This is kind of a quick rendering of what the benchwork could look like downstairs. In this case, I've got, as you see, the furnace here in orange. I got the hot water heater, the softener, and some shelving and stuff here on the other side. And what's kind of neat about this program is you can do more with it. This is a 3D rendering of that, bench work plan. Again, things aren't labeled here, but you got the furnace, the water heater here in the back, the shelving unit. Um, back here in the back corner, there's, if you can see the mouse, that's where the electrical panel is, and shelving, and some utility pipes, etc. So there's some neat things you can do with this program. We'll go to a different example. You can see I've got some actual track work here started. Now, good things about this program, other than the 3D rendering, is you can use different types of track. You can use Atlas, you can use Pico, you can use Microengineering, Bachmann, whatever. Or let's say you're using Atlas FlexTrack, but you want to use Pico switches, you can do that with this. On the bad side of it is, if you use a free version, that's what this is, you only get about 50 pieces of track before it says, time to buy it, and it's about $60 to purchase it. So, as you can see, the bench work here in the bottom is a little bit different than the 3D rendering I showed you a moment ago. This was just one iteration, doing some planning, where I was trying to put the main yard down here in the bottom, and what I ended up with is, realizing that there's a bunch of switches here that'd be really hard to reach, and up here is where I was going to have the main station, and I decided to flip-flop these two, just because I realized, putting an actual better plan together, that I wasn't going to be happy doing something like this. So what I ended up with was having, again, just some outlines just drawn here just to represent some bench work, and some, track, and kind of the idea where it would be at, and putting my main yard up here at the top. I really wanted a double-ended yard, which you can see here because it's a lot more prototypical. I have an area for a freight house, or a freight house here rather, an area for an engine facility. I have a general idea how many switches I'm going to need to get this done. I can see I've got some lengths of track here for this particular one here. If I wanted to stage, a train here, I can put, probably 10 or 12 cars here just by, looking at the different lengths of track and so on. Had I put that here, I'd have a lot of, one-ended spurs that I can only put, 4 or 5 cars in. It wouldn't be really good for operations. So, all right, we're back downstairs, and this table is what I was describing upstairs with the track plan. Originally I thought this would be, the main yard would have been a ladder on both sides, which is really what I'd like to do because I think it's rather prototypical for the yard I'm modeling, which would have been the Clyde yard in Cicero, Illinois, just outside the city of Chicago. And, I just got a piece of flex track there. As you can see, my yard leads would have been really, really short, especially with a ladder on both sides. And I really would have ended up with switches and way back here by the furnace. And that just would not made it for a good operation. Probably would have been really unhappy with it. And I'm glad I did the track plan because I was able to decide that this would make a much better, much longer yard. I got to stand over here because I got some plywood in the way. I can get a lot longer leads on here. I can get a little better ladder on here, and still have room for, like I said, a freight house and an engine facility. There's another peninsula here, just like this. There'll be another peninsula on the other side here where I can put again, another lead of the yard. And like I said, I have an idea of how much track I need, roughly how many switches I need. Not that it's not ever going to change or be updated, but again, learning something from the last layout, I want a better plan going into this one so I don't end up putting something together, spending a lot of time, energy, and money into something and then going, don't really like it. So we'll have more layout videos as construction continues, and hopefully by the end of winter we'll have some trains running. Thanks, and stay tuned.